Welcome back, fellow learners. Before I explain what this fellow here means, I want to make a disclaimer or clarify something. In the previous video, I started talking about an interesting theory, but then people that were watching the video, some friends of mine more specifically, told me that they didn't quite know what was happening. And the idea, or what I'm trying to do, is if I come across in the books that I'm reading, if I come across an interesting theory or something worth sharing, then I do a whiteboard and I try to create a short video and explain this. That might have gone wrong on the previous video, but in this one I want to tell you about a particular piece of information that I found really interesting in the book The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb. Now, it's perhaps not the main idea of the book, but it's one of the ones that shaped the whole concept of Black Swan events and how they affect us. So this particular piece of information that I want to share with you is to be conscious of the difference between absence of evidence versus evidence of absence. Nassim Taleb explained how this works. He gives quite a lot of examples. One of them is talking about patients going to the doctor to get, for example, checked for cancer cells, and the doctor saying that there is no evidence of cancer, so on and so forth, but I don't want to go there, I prefer to use some other examples. So, for instance, let's say some researchers send a space ship, say a ship into space to look for life in Mars, and they come back and say no life found on the surface of Mars. Immediately the readers, most of us anyway, tend to make the association that there's no life in Mars, and that's because our brain has evolved to make such quick and, I suppose, abrupt associations, and it worked for a time. But the fact that our world has changed, that we have changed the world we live in, information is abundant, that's part of our brain that makes these quick associations is actually working against us. And therefore we need to be careful when we make such statements and when we actually read them and we understand them. So if the statement would have been, for example, and I'm not scientist, so of course I'm not going to get this right, but if we say that solar radiation is too strong for living organisms to survive on the surface of the planet, plus they didn't find any form of life on the explorations that they carry on Mars, therefore we can actually certainly say that there is evidence of absence. So in this case, the absence of life through not observing it, but proving that something could have caused life not to exist. Now, of course, this is an abstract concept, so how can we actually bring this down to, I would say, the normal people like you and me taking decisions, or being affected by somebody else taking decisions based on data? So this is an example that I took for one of the projects that I ran in my career, and this is also important because when we talk about risk and risk managers, they take decisions based on what they know, and these decisions also affect the project and the people related to the project, so therefore we need to be conscious. So look at this statement regarding absence of evidence. There is no risk to the project from the price volatility of the Naira, the currency of Nigeria. So there is no risk to the project from the price volatility of the Naira, versus the statement in which we clarify the evidence of absence. So we say, given that raw materials are purchased outside Nigeria and finished products are also sold in other African countries, in US dollar, the value of the Naira does not represent a high impact risk. So this is a better way to describe the risk, taking into consideration evidence of absence rather than absence of evidence. Now, if you unfortunately do not have this situation in which products are bought in USD outside the country in which you are doing the analysis, then I think it's better to make a disclaimer saying that the evidence of absence has led us to come up to a conclusion regarding the risk. So we can say we didn't find a reason to flag the value of the NIDA as a high impact risk given the data we currently have access to. So this is a really way to present the information, taking in consideration the evidence of absence, and at the same time we just open up the possibility, or not the possibility, but we open the door for perhaps the steering committee or the, I don't know, the person calling the shots in the project, above the project manager, which in this case might be you, but we open up the door and we tell them that with the current data we cannot, with the current data we estimate that the risk is not high impact. Nonetheless, this decision is based on the data we have at the moment, and if they want further analysis, we obviously need further data, which I suppose comes from further research. So, once again guys, this is a short video to talk about the difference between absence of evidence and evidence of absence. Thank you for watching guys. Any comments or likes are useful and welcome. See you next time.